First started in 1929, the Academy Awards have become synonymous with excellence in film, a night to celebrate all the best that cinema has to offer. But what happens when the cinemas can't open? On January 23, 2020, Utah's Sundance Film Festival, one of the largest festivals in the United States, opened its doors to over 120,000 actors, filmmakers, viewers, and critics from over 27 countries and all around the U.S. Just a few days before, 2 states away and largely unnoticed by festival goers, the first case of the novel coronavirus was confirmed in Washington state. Less than 2 months later, COVID-19 had drastically changed the landscape of daily life, and with it, the 2020 film industry. Here's how it happened. The road to the Oscars is a long and arduous process. Many of the large Oscar bait movies, those ones with extremely famous casts and large budgets, mainly premiere in the fall. But other competitors go through a film circuit process, generating large acclaim at festivals like Sundance, Cannes, Toronto, Telluride, or Tribeca. It's these festivals that usually give these films the distributors and buzz they need for the final and biggest Oscar requirement, at least a week-long run in a Los Angeles County theater. But with COVID-19 at the forefront of American lives, theater chains having no established plans to reopen fully in 2020, and films being forced to premiere on streaming services or on video on demand as a result, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences were forced to make emergency concessions in the Oscar requirements. In a statement given by Academy President David Rubin on April 28th, board members are allowing a temporary exception to its 7-day Oscar-qualifying theatrical run. Instead, for the first time and for this year only, movies that are released on streaming services and VOD will still be eligible for the 93rd Academy Awards. Even more complicated, this new rule will only apply to movies that had already planned for theatrical release. When theaters reopen due to eased federal, state, and local restrictions, the rule exemptions will no longer apply. But the Academy will allow qualifying theatrical runs beyond Los Angeles County to other cities like New York, San Francisco, Chicago, Miami, and Atlanta. So how is this new rule, though temporary, changing the landscape? While the change has allowed deserving films to claim eligibility again, the outcome of the 93rd Oscars might highlight the inefficiencies in the overall process, as the road to winning an Oscar rarely ends after a theatrical release. Instead, winning the golden ticket, or statue, is a strange and incredibly involved process. Companies must time their releases early enough to qualify for the Oscars, but late enough to stay in the average Academy voter's mind, and that's only if the voters watch the film. According to an anonymous survey by The Hollywood Reporter in 2015, almost 6% of the polled Oscar voters did not watch all of the nominees for Best Picture. With the plethora of movies fighting to be seen, most production companies must rely on a heavy-handed campaign to get their movie the nomination. With studios choosing to throw their money behind movies that seem the most Oscar-worthy, smaller budget films rarely ever see their way onto that famed Hollywood stage. Even more so, the ever-constant reinforcement about what an Oscar film is only pushes stereotypes surrounding cinema forward into the modern era, meaning movies starring famous white actors are usually at the forefront, while films that push the boundaries or star non-white casts are often ignored. After an infamous year in 2015 where no people of color were nominated in the supporting or lead actor categories, the hashtag #OscarsSoWhite went viral, not only highlighting the lack of diverse nominations, but also the stereotypical roles Black Oscar winners historically play. In 2002, Halle Berry and Denzel Washington became the first Black woman and man to win the Oscars for lead actress and actor, almost 18 years after what seemed like a move in the right direction, and an aggressive 2016 push to diversify the voting base of the Academy voters. The 92nd Oscars in 2019 saw another middling year for people of color. While South Korean film and fan favorite Parasite took home a record number of statues, not a single one of the cast received acting nominations. Voters largely ignored acclaimed performances from Jennifer Lopez, Lupita Nyong'o, Awkwafina, and a majority of female directors like Greta Gerwig and Lulu Wang. Even further, Cynthia Erivo was the only Black nominee in both the male and female categories. With COVID-19 completely canceling festivals, brunches, award ceremonies, and most ad campaigns until at least September, many wonder if this will change the way Oscar voters see nominees. Without the aggressive campaigns, big-budget releases are essentially being put on equal footing as their indie counterparts for the foreseeable future. And while there's no proof that VOD-only releases can be sustained in a post-coronavirus world, their added success makes a compelling case for an Oscars future where theatrical releases aren't required at all. Indie releases that usually only appear for a week in large cities like Los Angeles or New York have suddenly become available immediately to the entire country, allowing them to be seen and enjoyed at a much wider rate. Big budget films that have been pushed back so as not to lose money have suddenly cleared the playing field, marking a much wider road to the Oscars than ever before. As of right now, the 93rd Academy Awards are still scheduled to take place on February 28, 2021. And in the meantime, Oscar voters have become like everyone else, trapped at home with nothing to do but watch films and wait for a normal that might never come back. And while they wait, viewers can only hope that the future next year will be brighter and wider than ever.